The silent years, the ghost of human memory. 50 years had passed since the last human warship fell silent. The galaxy had moved on, as galaxies do. Trade routes flourished where human colonies once thrived. Alien species built their cities on the bones of human settlements. The Consortium Alliance, that mighty collection of 12 advanced races, had declared the human problem solved forever. On the gleaming capital world of Nexus Prime, Admiral Krex stood before the memorial of victory, his 4 arms crossed behind his back, his crystalline skin reflecting the artificial sunlight. The monument bore the names of every consortium ship lost during what historians now called the human pacification. Only 47 vessels, a small price, they said, for galactic peace. Krex remembered those final days differently. He had commanded the siege fleet that broke Earth's orbital defenses. He had watched human ships fight with desperate fury, ramming his dreadnoughts when their weapons failed. Even in defeat, they had been terrifying. But that was ancient history now. Humans were scattered, broken, forgotten. The few survivors worked as laborers on distant worlds, keeping their heads down, their heritage hidden. The galaxy had learned to sleep peacefully again. The Watchers darkened the Kepler debris field, where an ancient star had died long before humans ever looked up at the sky. Something moved between the asteroids. Captain Alina Torres floated in the zero gravity of her hidden command center, watching displays that showed star charts the consortium had never seen. Alina was 43 years old, but she looked older. The years of hiding, of building, of preparing had carved lines into her face that spoke of determination rather than age. Her dark hair was streaked with premature gray, and her brown eyes held secrets that would have shaken the galaxy to its core. Around her, the haven moved with silent efficiency. It was not built like the old human ships, with their bold lines and proud emblems. This vessel was a shadow, designed by survivors who had learned that sometimes the best weapon was not being seen at all. The command center buzzed with quiet activity. Her crew of 30 worked at stations that seemed to bend light around them, their technology so advanced it appeared almost magical. These were not the humans the galaxy remembered. These were something new, something evolved. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen approached Elena's position. Sarah was younger, born after the fall, raised in the hidden colonies that the consortium never found. She had never seen Earth, but she carried its memory like a sacred flame. "Captain, we're receiving confirmation signals from the other groups," Sarah reported. "The Titan network is fully operational. All 17 hidden colonies are ready." Alina nodded slowly. 17 colonies, each one a marvel of human engineering and determination. Built inside asteroids, hidden in nebulae, camouflaged within the cosmic background radiation itself. For 50 years, they had grown in secret, developing technologies that pushed the boundaries of what the galaxy thought possible. The seeds of revolution, the first sign that something had changed, came from a routine shipping lane between the trade hub and the Zilliq mining consortium. A cargo vessel named Prophet's Edge was carrying processed metals when its sensors detected an anomaly. Captain Vrolik, a beetle-like Manthari trader, had run this route for 20 years without incident. The anomaly appeared as a slight gravitational disturbance, barely enough to register on standard equipment. But as Prophet's Edge moved closer to investigate, the disturbance revealed itself to be something impossible. A ship, but not like any ship in the consortium databases. It was sleek where consortium vessels were bulky, silent where they were loud, and it moved with a grace that seemed to defy the basic laws of physics. When Vrolik tried to hail the mysterious craft, his communications array simply stopped working. Not jammed, not blocked, but upgraded somehow, displaying data streams in languages. His universal translator couldn't process. The unknown ship maintained its course for exactly 17 minutes, then vanished. Not into hyperspace, not behind a planet or asteroid, but simply disappeared as if it had never existed at all. Vrolik spent 3 days checking his sensor logs, convinced he had imagined the entire encounter, but the data remained. And when he finally reported it to Consortium Security, the investigation that followed would begin to unravel 50 years of assumed peace. The whispers, begin news, of strange encounters began filtering through the galactic networks. A research station reported tools that repaired themselves overnight. A mining operation found their efficiency inexplicably doubled by systems that hadn't been there the day before. Border patrols detected signals in mathematical patterns that seemed familiar, but couldn't be decoded. Each incident was small, easily dismissed as equipment failure or natural phenomena. But when combined, they painted a picture that made consortium analysts very nervous. Someone was watching them, helping them, and studying them all at the same time. Admiral Krex found himself pulled from his comfortable retirement to head a new investigation unit. The High Command had chosen him because he was the only living consortium officer who had extensive experience fighting humans. His first briefing made his crystalline skin darken with concern. The pattern suggests coordinated observation, reported Intelligence Director Zelf, her serpentine form coiled around the conference table. Whatever is causing these incidents has detailed knowledge of our shipping routes, our technology, and our weaknesses. Krix studied the holographic display showing incident locations scattered across 3 sectors. To most eyes, they appeared random, but he saw something else, a pattern that spoke of military thinking, of someone probing defenses and testing responses. How many of our scout ships have reported equipment upgrades they didn't request? He asked. Zalf's expression became uncomfortable. 47 ships, Admiral. All in different sectors, all reporting the same phenomenon. Enhanced sensors, improved engines, upgraded life support systems. The modifications are so seamless that most crews thought they were routine maintenance they had forgotten about. The numbers sent a chill through Krax's for hearts. 47, the same number of consortium ships lost during the human pacification. It could not be a coincidence. The hidden truth deep within the haven. Alina Torres stood before a massive holographic display that showed the entire galaxy. Thousands of points of light represented star systems, trade routes, military installations, and colony worlds. But this map was different from any the consortium possessed. This map showed the truth. Hidden colonies glowed with soft blue light. Secret supply routes appeared as thin golden lines connecting systems the consortium thought were empty and scattered throughout it all. Red markers indicated human assets placed in positions where they could observe, influence, and when necessary, act. The Watchers report that consortium forces are beginning to investigate the anomalies. Sarah informed her. Admiral Krex has been placed in charge of their response. Alina smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. Good old Krex. I wondered when he would return to the game. He was always the smartest of their commanders, perhaps smart enough to understand what he's really facing. She touched a control, and the display zoomed in on the memorial world where Krex made his headquarters. The detail was extraordinary, showing not just the planet's surface, but the locations of every military installation, every ship in orbit, even the schedules of important personnel. 50 years ago, they broke us because we fought them directly. Alina continued. We matched our ships against theirs, our weapons against theirs, our tactics against theirs. We played their game by their rules, and we lost. Sarah nodded, understanding. She had heard this lesson many times, but never tired of it. It was the foundation of everything they had built. But we learned something important in defeat, Alina said. We learned that the greatest strength of humanity has never been our weapons or our technology. It has been our ability to adapt, to change, to become something new when the old ways fail us. The display showed dozens of consortium worlds, each one tagged with detailed intelligence reports, industrial output, military capabilities, political stability, economic dependencies. The humans had not simply been hiding for 50 years. They had been learning, growing, and preparing. The first move the message arrived simultaneously at every major consortium installation in the galaxy. It bypassed their most sophisticated security systems, appeared on displays that should have been impossible to access, and delivered its contents in perfect translations for every species in the Alliance. The message was simple, consisting of only a few lines of text displayed against a background of stars. To the Consortium Alliance, 50 years ago, you declared humanity extinct. You were wrong. We have been watching. We have been learning. We have been waiting. Your time of easy victory is over. We are no longer the species you defeated. We are something new, something evolved, something you should fear. This is your only warning. Change your ways, or face the consequences of your actions. The children of Earth remember everything. The message displayed for exactly 1 minute on every screen, then vanished as mysteriously as it had appeared. But its impact rippled through the galaxy like a shockwave. Stock markets crashed as investors panicked. Military forces went to high alert. Emergency sessions were called in every major government. Admiral Krex read the message 3 times, his forehands trembling slightly. Around him, his staff buzzed with nervous energy, but he remained silent, lost in thought. This was not the work of scattered survivors seeking revenge. This was something far more dangerous, organized, technological superior, and patient enough to spend 50 years preparing for this moment. For the first time since the human pacification, Admiral Krex felt afraid. The sleeping giant stirs in hidden bases across the galaxy. Humans received the same message their enemies did, but for them it carried a different meaning. It was not a threat, but a promise. Not a warning, but a signal. Alina Torres stood on the observation deck of the Haven, looking out at the stars that had once seemed so hostile. Around her, the asteroid field that concealed their base hummed with new activity. Ships that had waited in silence for decades began powering up their engines. Weapons that had never been tested prepared for their first real deployment. All stations report ready, Captain, Sarah announced. The Ghost Fleet is prepared to reveal itself. Alina placed her hand on the cold metal of the viewport. Somewhere out there, on worlds now controlled by alien species, humans worked as servants and laborers, keeping their heritage secret, waiting for this day. Soon, they would no longer need to hide. Signal all commands, Alina ordered. Operation Lazarus is authorized. Phase 1 begins now. Across the galaxy, humanity began to wake up from its long, patient sleep, and the Consortium was about to learn that some wounds never heal. Some defeats are only temporary, and some species are far more dangerous when they have nothing left to lose. The age of human silence was ending. The age of consequences was about to begin. The awakening storm, the first revelation 3 days after the mysterious message. Consortium forces encountered something that defied every principle of known physics. The heavy cruiser Dominion's Pride was conducting a routine patrol near the Helios Nebula when its sensors detected what appeared to be a derelict ship drifting in space. Captain Vexter, a proud member of the warrior Krillian race, ordered his ship to investigate. The derelict appeared to be of human design, battered and ancient, probably a survivor from one of the old battles. Easy salvage, valuable intelligence, and perhaps answers to the recent strange events. But as Dominion's Pride approached, the derelict came alive, not with lights or engines, but with something far more disturbing. The ancient human ship began to change, its hull flowing like liquid metal, reshaping itself into configurations that should have been structurally impossible. "Captain, the derelict is transforming," reported the sensor officer, his voice tight with disbelief. "Its mass is increasing, but we're not detecting any additional matter. The energy readings are off all our scales." Vextar watched in fascination and growing horror as the small, damaged vessel expanded into something massive and sleek. Where rust and battle damage had marked its hull moments before, now pristine armor plates gleamed with an inner light. Weapons emerged from hidden bays, but they were unlike anything in the consortium databases. "New contact is attempting to establish communication," the communications officer reported. "The signal is ... strange, sir. It's using our own encryption. Codes, but ones that are 50 years old." The main screen flickered to life, revealing the interior of the transformed ship. A human woman sat in what appeared to be a command chair, but the bridge around her was like nothing the consortium had ever seen. Surfaces seemed to respond to her thoughts. Data streams flowed through the air as tangible light, and the very walls pulsed with patterns that hurt to look at directly. "Greetings, Captain Vexter," the woman said, and her voice carried harmonics that suggested her words were being generated by technology rather than vocal cords. "I am Captain Elena Torres of the Earth Reclamation Fleet. Your ship is now under observation and evaluation." Vextar struggled to process what he was seeing. "The Earth fleet was destroyed 50 years ago. You cannot be real." Elena smiled, and the expression was both beautiful and terrifying. "You are correct, Captain. The Earth fleet was destroyed. We are not the Earth fleet. We are what came after. We are what your victory created." The new humanity as Elena spoke. Displays throughout her ship showed images that chronicled humanity's transformation. The survivors had not simply rebuilt their civilization. They had evolved it, guided by artificial intelligences that had learned to think in ways no organic mind could comprehend. "For 50 years, we studied every defeat, analyzed every weakness, and redesigned every limitation," Elena continued. "We discovered that the greatest mistake of old humanity was trying to remain purely human. So we chose to become something more." The crew of Dominion's Pride watched in stunned silence as the displays showed human colonies unlike anything they had imagined, cities that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, ships that could phase between realities, beings that appeared human but possessed capabilities that approached the divine. "You see," Captain Elena explained, "your people made a fundamental error in your victory. You assumed that destroying our ships and conquering our worlds meant destroying our potential. But potential cannot be destroyed. It can only be redirected." Behind her, other figures moved through the transformed ship's corridors. They appeared human at first glance, but closer observation revealed subtle differences. Their movements were too fluid. Their eyes held depths that suggested vast intelligence. And when they interacted with their technology, the boundary between flesh and machines seemed to blur. The test of strength Captain Vextar was a warrior by nature and training. Despite his fear, he could not allow this unprecedented encounter to pass without some show of consortium strength. "Whatever you have become," he declared, "the Consortium Alliance controls this galaxy. You will submit to inspection and questioning, or face the consequences." Elena's smile widened. "Consequences, Captain. An interesting choice of words. Very well, let us discuss consequences." What happened next would be studied by military strategists for generations to come. The transformed human ship did not fire weapons or raise shields. Instead, it simply existed more intensely than anything around it. Dominion's pride found its weapons systems transforming, not damaged, but improved. The targeting computers began displaying information with impossible accuracy. The engine efficiency increased by 300%. Life support systems that had functioned adequately for decades suddenly provided air that felt like breathing on a perfect spring day. "What are you doing to my ship?" Vextar demanded, though his anger was mixed with wonder at the improvements he was witnessing. "We are showing you a gift," Elena replied. "For 50 years, we have watched the Consortium struggle with technological limitations that we solved decades ago. Your ships are crude, your weapons inefficient, your life support systems barely adequate. We could upgrade your entire fleet in a matter of hours." The implications hit Vextar like a physical blow. If humans possessed this level of technological superiority, they could have revealed themselves at any time. They could have taken revenge whenever they chose. The fact that they had remained hidden suggested planning on a scale that was almost incomprehensible. The greater planners, if reading his thoughts, Elena's expression became more serious. "You wonder why we waited, why we did not strike immediately after our defeat. The answer is simple, Captain. Revenge is a meal best served cold, but justice must be served perfectly." New displays activated, showing a galaxy-wide view of human activities. The scope was staggering. Every major trade route had human observers. Every important political figure had human advisors they didn't know were human. Every significant military installation had been studied, mapped, and infiltrated. "We could have destroyed the Consortium at any time in the past 2 decades, Elena continued. "But destruction would have solved nothing. The same attitudes that led to our original defeat would have simply found new expressions. Instead, we chose to understand why our defeat was possible, and to ensure it could never happen again." The displays showed detailed analyses of every Consortium species, their strengths, weaknesses, fears, and motivations. Humans had not simply been hiding. They had been conducting the most comprehensive intelligence operation in galactic history. We learned that the Consortium attacked us not from evil, but from fear. Fear of our independence, our potential, our refusal to accept the limitations others imposed upon us. So we decided to remove that fear by transcending those limitations entirely. The offer, what Elena said next, changed everything. Instead of threats or demands for surrender, she made an offer that stunned Captain Vextar and his crew. "The Consortium may choose its future," she announced. "You may continue as you have, with your limitations and conflicts and endless struggles for resources that are actually abundant. Or you may join us in transcending those limitations. We offer partnership, not conquest, evolution, not destruction. The words seemed impossible. After 50 years of assumed human extinction, after the message that had terrified the galaxy, here was an offer of cooperation rather than revenge. Your crimes against humanity are forgiven, Alina continued, because we understand they arose from ignorance rather than malice. But that ignorance must end. The galaxy is about to face challenges that will require the best of all species working together. We offer you the chance to meet those challenges as partners rather than subjects. Vextar found his voice. What challenges? What are you talking about? Elena's expression became grave. Beyond the galactic rim, Captain, ancient forces are stirring, powers that make our little conflicts seem insignificant. The reason we have prepared so carefully, evolved so dramatically, is not for revenge against the consortium. It is to defend this galaxy against threats you cannot yet imagine. The choice, the transformed human ship began to withdraw, its hull shifting back toward its original derelict appearance. But the improvements to Dominion's pride remained, a lasting demonstration of human capabilities. You have one standard galactic year to make your choice, Alina announced. Use the improvements we have given your ship to convince your leaders that cooperation is preferable to conflict. We will be watching, as we always have, but now you know we are here. As the human ship faded from sensors, Captain Vextar stood in stunned silence. His communications officer broke the quiet with a trembling voice. Captain, incoming priority transmission from Consortium Command. All fleet elements are reporting similar encounters across 17 different sectors. The transformation was not limited to a single ship or single encounter. Across the galaxy, humanity was revealing itself in measured doses, offering gifts rather than delivering threats, presenting choices rather than ultimatums. The new age on the hidden command. World that humans had built in the space between galaxies, Alina Torres stood before the Council of Evolved Humanity. Beings who had once been purely human now represented the merger of organic intelligence, artificial consciousness, and technologies that could reshape reality itself. The revelation phase is complete, she reported. Consortium forces have been introduced to our capabilities in controlled circumstances. The choice is now theirs to make. Council Speaker Marcus Chen, whose consciousness existed simultaneously in biological and digital forms, nodded his approval. Analysis suggests a 73% probability of cooperation. The remaining 27% represents those who will choose conflict regardless of consequences. Alina smiled. Then we prepare for both possibilities. If they choose cooperation, we guide them toward transcendence. If they choose conflict. She paused, looking out at the stars where hidden human fleets waited in patient readiness. We remind them why species that adapt survive, while those that remain static become extinct. The galaxy held its breath, poised between two possible futures. One led to unprecedented cooperation and shared transcendence. The other led to a demonstration of just how far humanity had evolved beyond its original limitations. The choice belonged to the Consortium Alliance, but the consequences would reshape the galaxy forever. Humanity had returned, not as conquerors or victims, but as something far more dangerous, teachers offering lessons that the galaxy might not be ready to learn. In the depths of space, ancient human A is calculated probabilities and prepared responses. The age of human silence was over. The age of human guidance was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same.